Hello, time for another vocal studies video, though this one is going to be pretty short and pretty, I think, cursory. It is from Ptsy Rdnbrg's The Need for Words, which I have been having a good run of very useful exercises with her. This one, I don't know exactly how so much. So I definitely read through a couple of these sections while I was reading this last night to kind of prepare for this video. And well, let's talk about them. The first one is definitely the one that I think I found the weakest, which is wit, puns, and wordplay. And being funny and humorous with words is something you can cultivate. And the thing turned back off again. And it's like something you can cultivate. This is reading from the text. You have to play and be prepared to be played with. Where punning and wordplay is in use, the listener is taking the speaker's words and turning them about to create new meaning. Good wordplay is sharp and cunning, not dull or lazy. And what they have here is a sequence between Viola and Feste from Shakespeare's Twelfth Night. And they have this whole thing of enter Viola disguised as Cesario and Feste the clown who plays his tabor drum. Viola, save thee, friend, and thy music. Dost thou live by the tabor? Feste, no, sir, I live by the church. Art thou a churchman? No, sir, no such matter, sir. I do live by the church, for I live at my house, and my house doth stand by the church. So thou mayest say the king lies by a beggar, if a beggar dwells near him, or a church stands by thy tabor, or thy tabor stands by the church. Feste, you have said it, sir. To see this age, a sentence is but a cheverel, smooth leather glove, to a good wit. How quickly the wrong side may be turned outwards. Viola, nay, that's certain. They that dally nicely with words may quickly make them wanton. Feste, I would therefore my sister had no name, sir. Why, man? Why, sir, her name's a word, and to dally with that word might make my sister wanton. And indeed, words are very rascals, since bonds disgrace them. Thy reason, man? Troth, sir, I can yield you none without words, and words are grown so false I am loath to prove reason with them. I warrant thou art a merry fellow, and carest for nothing. Not so, sir. I do care for something, but in my conscience, sir, I do not care for you. If that to care for nothing, if that be to care for nothing, sir, I would make you invisible. Art thou not the Lady Olivia's fool? Feste, no, sir, no, indeed, sir, the Lady Olivia has no folly. She will keep no fool, sir, till she'll be married, and fools are like husbands as pilchards are to her herrings. The husband's the bigger, and I am indeed not her fool, but her corrupter of words. And that is the sequence of Shakespeare, which I think you got to act the fuck out of that to make it funny, because on the page, doesn't seem particularly that hilarious. But you're supposed to, you may not know what all the images and allusions refer to, but take a risk and make the words mean what you think they mean. Make them sound funny. Add physical action. Be keen to win the point. Good wit, puns, and wordplays are use language archaically. Anarchically. They corrupt words in a frenzied way, as in a Marx Brothers or a Monty Python routine. They juxtapose odd relationships, tabor, church, beggar, king, husband, herring. When doing a sequence like the above, you must allow yourself to enter a world where words, associations, and ideas come together with lightning quickness. Forget the intellect when playing comedy like this, but go instead for the collision of sounds and images. See if you can find a timing or rhythm that suits this exchange. And I mean, I guess reading it, you can see how it bats back and forth. It would be interesting to watch actors who know what they're doing and probably do understand what the fuck's going on, because it seems like just sort of rather tedious wordplay to me, which I mean, it's also just it's a shift of what is maybe considered funny. I don't know. I think of the parts of Shakespeare, you can see why Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, so I don't know how useful I found that section or how convincing I found that section. Rdnbrg loves her Shakespeare when she's doing stuff, so that's why we always get Shakespeare, whether it's maybe the most apt or the thing that's going to reach the audience most. I'm probably just an ignoramus about Shakespeare to a degree. I mean, I've read a fair bit of Shakespeare, but and watched a fair number of plays, but there's a lot of times when the comedy doesn't hit. Sometimes it does, and that's usually when it's a production where they really know what they're doing and are really able to, as she says, bring it to life, physically act it out to kind of convey it to an ignoramus audience like someone like myself, and so it's kind of hard there. The next thing she talks about is repetition. When you first pick up a text, notice if certain words or phrases are repeated. When you notice repetitions, ask yourself for some crucial questions. How often and when? What sort of words? Does the repetition show that the thought is hard to move on? Does the repetition show that the thought is hard to move on? Maybe the characters whose words you are speaking is somehow stuck. Does the repetition break the thought to expose flashes of feeling within the thinking process or join thoughts together? Is repetition a refrain? Repetition often implies that the rhythm and balance are at work inside a text. Perhaps the listener is lulled into a safe haven by the repetition, which may then change in order to suddenly shock us. Repetition often softens the blow of harsh sentiments. And again, we get some Shakespeare. This is Jacques' speech in Act 2, Scene 7 of As You Like It. Notice the wealth and variety of repeated sounds, words, and phrases set within languid blank verses. And getting my reading done today. A fool, I met a fool in the forest, a motley fool, a miserable world. As I do live by food, I met a fool who laid him down and basked him in the sun, and rallied on Lady Fortune in good terms, in good set terms, and yet a motley fool. Good morrow, fool, quoth I. No, sir, quoth he, call me not fool till heaven hath sent me fortune. And then he drew a dial from his poke, and looking on it with lacklustered eye, said very wisely, it is 10 o'clock. Thus we may see, quoth he, how the world wags. 'Tis but an hour ago since it was 9, and after 1 hour more 'twill be 11. And so from hour to hour we ripe and ripe, and then from hour to hour we rot and rot, and thereby hangs a tale. When I did hear the motley fool thus moral on the time, my lungs began to crow like a chandelier, that fools should be so deep contemplative, and I did laugh sounds intermission, an hour by his dial. O noble fool, a worthy fool, motley's the only wear. So that is something where we're, yes, the whole thing of how often, what sort of words, is it we're dwelling on this kind of like, is it the character somehow stuck? Is there a repetition thought to expose flashes of feeling within the thinking process or join thoughts together? Is the repetition a refrain? And is there a sudden like shock at the end? And also, do you do the refrain to kind of soften the blow of harsh sentiments? I guess that one being there, from hour to hour we ripe and ripe, and then from hour to hour we rot and rot, and thereby hangs a tale. So yes, that is repetition. And here, let's do final one. Verse is not something we should fear. It simply puts words and sentences into different rhythmic structures. It draws the listener attention to the matter of what is being said so that we can hear the matter better. Too much attention is paid to identifying the form the verse takes. Just be swayed by the rhythm rather than being too strict about a beat. When confronted by a piece of verse, try doing the following. Beat the lines out, using anything from your fingertips to a drum, remembering to allow the stress syllable or stronger beats to take your voice up. Don't allow the beat to pull itself vocally or physically inside you. Send it outwards. Do the lines scan evenly, or is the heartbeat changing, either slowing, quickening, or becoming erratic? If the text is even regular, then the chances are the situation is under control and there's no chaos raging in the speaker. The verse may, for instance, be that of a formal court scene. If the rhythmic sound erratic, irregular, then the chaos may be looming or emotions rising. Look at Act 1, Scene 1 of King Lear. Lear starts speaking evenly and formally until Cordelia's reply of nothing rocks his steadiness. Excuse me. Lear to Cordelia. Now our joy, although our last and least, to whose young love the vines of France and milk of Burgundy strive to be interested, what can you say to draw a third more opulent than your sisters? Speak. Nothing, my lord. Nothing. Nothing. Nothing will come of nothing. Speak again. Unhappy that I am, I cannot heave my heart into my mouth. I love your majesty according to my bond. No more, no less. How now? How, Cordelia? Mend your speech a little, lest you may mar your fortune. Are the lines fragmented or fraying? That is, are thoughts stopping or starting mid-line with a pause or a question? If so, the sudden stops may indicate the process of thinking is not easy. It comes in sudden bursts. Know how this works in the following passage from Winter's Tale, where King Leontes is driven mad by the thought that his wife and best friend have cuckolded him. Speak the lines to capture both the fury and chaos of the character's feverish brain. Gone already, inch thick, knee deep, overhead, and ears forked one. Go play, boy, play. Thy mother plays, and I play too, but so disgraced a part, whose issue will hiss me to my grave. Contempt and clamor will be my knell. Go play, boy, play. There have been, or I am much deceived, cuckolds ere now, and many a man there is, even at this present, now while I speak this, holds his wife by the arm. That little thinks she has been sluiced in his absence, and his pond fished by his next neighbor, by Sir Smile, his neighbor. Nay, there's comfort in it. So yeah, that was definitely. How long are the thoughts? Are the ideas coming in long arcs? Are they short and fragmented, or mixture of both? If the ideas are tumbling out at length, the intellectual and emotional juices are flowing. The shorter thoughts probably indicate a grinding of mental and emotional gears. Even rhythmic and balanced thoughts generally indicate that a situation is under control. Here, Leontes is under better control at the end of the play, as his fragmented way of speaking has become more balanced and his emotional state calmer. I am content to look on. What to speak, I am content to hear. For 'tis as easy to make her speak as move. And yeah, you can hear definitely the flow there. This is definitely actorly stuff. Speaking lines in a speech, though I guess this also comes to the drama of, like, if you're wanting to ramp things up in just a speech, or giving shorter lines are better than doing short lines are better than doing a more longer considered line where you're pondering other thoughts and maybe you're bringing in a point from over here and a point from over there. No, this is the one thought I'm having, and then this thought, and then that thought. That's my thought. All right, I don't think this has been a particularly fruitful vocal video, but you know, that's it. You can't get gold every time. Maybe sometimes you get bronze or tin, and it's also just me and my tin ear is also the thing there. I can't always blame Ptsy Rdnbrg. All right, I've been Jay. More videos later.